Raja Jackson, who's the son of Rampage Jackson, had a ton of controversy around him. So I guess Raja Jackson was at this show that Knox Pro was putting on, which is a wrestling school, and Raja was live streaming the whole thing. So not only do we have this grand controversy, but there's video of everything. And I've watched a lot of video. I've watched many interviews. I've listened to a lot of different people's takes on it, a lot of pro wrestlers' takes on it, a lot of wrestling analysts' takes on it, a lot of people who don't even watch wrestling, their takes on it, all the clips that were clipped from the live stream of all the different incidents that happened, the interviews with the people who were there. I mean, I watched, a little bit of everything to just kind of wrap my head, because on first look at this thing, it's hideous. I mean, absolutely hideous. And the more I looked into this, the more I realized that there's nothing complicated here. And you can try to complicate it, and you can try to act like pro wrestling is this complicated thing that's so difficult to figure out, but it's really not complicated. It's really not difficult to figure out, and there's nothing unique here that happened. I don't think, in my personal opinion, that it requires any perspective other than an ounce of humanity and a set of eyeballs to see how far out of line Raja Jackson was in this whole thing. So, in the backstory behind all this, I guess he's doing this live stream, right? And I guess Raja Jackson gets dunked on a lot. And I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. I'm in my own head thinking I am. I'm probably not, but I apologize if I am. But from what I read, they said he gets dunked on his live stream and people get in his head or whatever. And look, I mean, there's a whole other conversation to be had about people who do live streaming and digital content that is all based around people dunking on them and haters, except it doesn't matter because they're still getting numbers and engagement, so they just keep doing it. It's a toxic thing. It's bad for any person who's doing it, in my opinion. I think generally IRL streaming is tough. It's hard. I mean, there's a few people, the top tier of people seem to have some kind of healthy way to deal with it. But I for most human beings, I think that IRL streaming, which is just like having a camera on you all the time and having people commenting on every single thing that you're doing, I don't see how it can create good mental health, but that's just me. So in the video that I saw, Raja Jackson is at this Knox Pro show, and they're backstage before the show, and this wrestler named Syko Stu hits him on the head with a beer can. He does not hit him on the head with a beer bottle. He does not break a bottle over his head. He does not hit him in the head with a full beer can. He hits him in the head with an empty aluminum beer can. Is this a nice thing to do? No. Is it respectful? No. But there has never been a scenario where anybody who is trying to fight somebody tries to fight them with an empty aluminum can. They don't hurt anybody. It just wouldn't, and wasn't even the top of it with the ring in that's a little bit harder. No, it was the side of it. Clearly there was a miscommunication. And, and that's when you could hear in the background of the video people saying, Stu, he's not a worker. And maybe there was some miscommunication there. And of course, Mr. Jackson, young Mr. Jackson, seemed to get very offended by this. And that's fine if he gets offended by it. And then there's another wrestler that is telling Raja to get a receipt on him. And again, all this talk of receipts and everything, it's like, we're not talking about Portland in 1978. We're talking about a indie show in 2025. Okay, let's not get into, well, you got to protect what? What are we talking about? It's an indie school show in 2025. Okay, so Raja is in the audience of this show, and he jumps in the ring during a match. Now, from my eyes, it appears that this is something that was planned. People don't go like, oh my God, what's he doing when he gets in there? It appears that this was a planned spot. But he kind of picks Syko Stu up with a double leg takedown and brings him down to the mat. And it's not the safest thing. It's not the greatest double leg. But for somebody that, by the way, Roger Jackson is not a pro wrestler. He's an MMA fighter's son, Rampage. So, like, the idea that his double leg takedown was not safe or what, that's neither here nor there to me. The problem is that he starts punching Syko Stu in the face as hard as he can. And Syko Stu is unconscious. And he's unconscious very quickly. He's either made unconscious by the fall after the double leg takedown, or he's made unconscious very early in the series of punches. But either way, the guy is unconscious. And this Raja Jackson hits him over and over as hard as he can, or very, very hard. I don't know how hard he can hit, but very, very hard in the face and chin. They said something like 22 or 23 times. They said Syko Stu had to be taken to the hospital. He had his teeth knocked out of his mouth. He was unconscious. We woke up and was in terrible shape. He had no memory of it. He had trouble speaking. He had trouble walking. I mean, it was a really horrific thing that happened to him, and it's not surprised that the results were horrific, because when you see it, it's awful. It's awful. And look, there's more to the story, like the fact that, like, after this happened and Syko Stu is laying there unconscious, another wrestler goes to pin him, and the referee counts 3, as if we're still doing a wrestling match. And like, there's much more to talk about if you really want to get into the weeds here of just like how absurd so much of this is and how in bad taste a lot of it is, and how there's problems with management. Now, there's problems with a lot going on. But at the center of it all, a guy was taking part in an art form in which people entrust others to not hurt them. The whole art form of professional wrestling is, I'm going to allow you to do these moves to me because you're telling me when you do them, you're not going to hurt me. Whether one guy can beat up the other guy or not is not what professional wrestling is, and it certainly isn't now, right? It's, hey, I'm allowing this to happen because this is the story that we're telling. Even if that wasn't the case, even if you didn't, and that's not a difficult thing to understand. And that's not something that anybody in 2025 doesn't understand. Anybody who's over the age of 10 in 2025 is aware what they're watching when they're watching professional wrestling, and have been. It's been that way for decades. But even if it wasn't that way, in any situation, the idea of punching a man repeatedly in the face very, very hard while he's unconscious, there's no excuse. There's never an excuse for it. There's only a victim and a perpetrator. And that's all there is in a situation like this. You know, and you know, you can ask bigger scoping, broad questions about all of it, but ultimately, to me, it's a story of two people, one who shouldn't have had this happen to him, and the other who shouldn't have done it to him. And that's genuinely all there is to it, and there should be ramifications for it. Like, I mean, if this had happened in a street fight, you couldn't have passed this off as just regular street fight stuff. You would have been like, that guy's out of control. So the idea that it happened in a pro wrestling ring makes it worse, in my opinion, than if it had happened on a street fight. You know, I this really, like, watching this and watching everybody's perspective and watching all the different clips, everything that I've seen, and I'll correct myself later if I'm wrong, but everything that I've seen, there's no doubt in my mind, Raja Jackson is 100% at fault for these actions, and that's it. It's really not that complicated. And are there other people at fault involved in this scenario for other things? Sure. But there's no sort of gatekeeping going on here that complicates this, other than a guy was unconscious and another guy punched him in the face over and over again in an environment in which people are trusting others with their bodies. That's it. That's all there is to it. And there's no way you could tell me one person didn't understand this or one person didn't understand that. That's it. And there should have been people there to pull him off quicker. And there should, but regardless, he should have gotten off quicker. That's it. Like, so, you know, That's kind of how I saw it. It was disgusting. It was awful.